Hey kids, John here. I was asked to talk a little bit about endurance, and this is going to be some concepts about endurance and about how you approach your instrument or the trumpet that may help you understand how to overcome some endurance issues. It's not necessarily going to be a how-to or this is what to practice type of video, although I will talk about that a bit. I have a mechanic who can have a conversation with me because this happened. He can have a conversation with me and he can take the entire back end of the bike off the bike in 15 minutes and it doesn't even look like he's doing anything. What that mechanic knows is how to set up the bike, put it on the lift and get it to the right height, what tools he needs, and he puts them all on the lift. So everything he needs, all the tools he needs to do the job are sitting right in front of him. So he can just pick them up and work with them. And he also has the experience that tells him what bolts are on the bike, what size wrenches he needs, everything that he needs to do this job, he knows. He has some experience. And he sets himself up to do this job in the most efficient manner possible. Efficiency is one of the biggest keys to our success as musicians. Learning to be efficient, learning how to do things properly is very key. There's an unbelievable video out there of Rafael Mendez playing the Mexican hat dance in one breath. If you go on YouTube, type in Rafael Mendez, Mexican hat dance, one breath, you will see this video. In the long version of this video, he talks about practicing scales until you know them so well that you can apply them to music. And he also talks about breathing and how important it is. And he speaks to the idea that you do not use more air to play the trumpet than you do to have a normal conversation. So he talks about a normal talking breath or speaking breath when he prepares to play. And in this video, you see him take a breath and then you hear him play what is unbelievably efficiently. Everything's working for him, slurs, all his articulations, tonguing, his air control, his facility on the instrument. So this is a very big clue to how to develop endurance. So let's talk about this. He's using his air extremely efficiently. You must learn to do that. You must learn to take good deep breaths each time you breathe, and you need to learn to support so that support mechanism is engaged while you're playing. If you're not supporting what you're doing, this becomes very fatigued because you're trying to make everything happen up here instead of using your air to get this to vibrate freely. Articulations. If you're articulating improperly, you will never have endurance because you're articulating in a manner that is not efficient. And when you practice whatever tonguing drills or scales or whatever you're doing, if you're tonguing heavily and making the tonguing exercise an arduous task, every time you tongue, it's going to be an arduous task. You must not do that. So for instance, if you're doing, say, just a simple tonguing exercise where you're putting two articulations on a scale and you're going, that's arduous. It doesn't sound relaxed. It must get to the point where you're playing with the greatest ease possible. And what am I doing differently? I'm literally thinking musically. I'm thinking about singing. Instead of that's too much energy. Relax, sing the notes. And if it is supposed to be staccato, don't make a ta 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 ta. Don't do that. Don't Man, working way too hard. Your tongue is not working properly. It should be light, even though it's staccato. Much different approach. This will help you get endurance because you won't be working so hard. You're working super hard when you're tonguing like that. Slurs the same thing. You must gain control of interval slurs. So if it's, you're not slurring properly, and you need to learn how to activate that slur so it's working. If you're struggling to make it smooth and lyrical, you're not going to have endurance. If it doesn't flow, you're never going to have endurance. It's got to be super efficient, and above all, it's got to be musical. This is a big key. So when you're practicing any exercise, even if you're practicing it staccato, think musically. Think where the flow of the music really is. What we are doing when we practice exercises is we are training our body to use these tools to play music. Ultimately, we're playing music. That is our goal. Our goal is to play music. So, you can shape it into a line if you want. Slurring it. Hear how I'm not centering a single note? It can't sound like that. If it does, you will never have endurance. Very efficient, very clean. Everything's working correctly. This is the difference that can kill you in a half an hour. Again, a lot of people struggle with the upper register. You must learn how to play in the upper register and play up there efficiently. You must make the upper register as effortless as possible, and this comes through practicing to do so. You're going to have to learn how to get up there. What are the mechanics I'm using to get up in the upper register? Now let me refine the mechanics so it's easy enough to play up there for me. That didn't take a lot of effort. I wasn't pushing hard. You should be able to play in the upper register without a crazy amount of effort. You learn to get the compression or the air pressure necessary to keep the buzz going, and then you refine that. So what you should be practicing for, ultimately, and here's the key to all this, using your air properly and playing everything musically. This has been discussed before. This is just me saying wind and song. The same things have been discussed. So when you get your air all through the register, and when you're tonguing, and when you're slurring, when you get your air moving properly, and supporting the buzz in all registers, you are realistically probably 3/4 of the way there as far as what you need to do mechanically. Your tonguing has to be proper. Your slurring has to be proper. Mechanics. Then, what you need is music. If you're not singing, if everything you're doing is not singing, or emotion, or something coming from inside you, if it's a task, you will never have endurance. When it becomes this greater thing known as music, it's so much easier to play all day. It just is. To get there, you're going to play exercises that give you the tools, and you must do them so that you learn to play them very efficiently and you sound really good on them. If they don't sound good musically, there's probably a mechanical problem. When you sound good, you're probably playing right. You must learn the mechanics properly and apply them to the music. It really is that simple in concept. When you're practicing your exercises, make them into music. This must come from somewhere inside you, an emotion, joy, even anger. Kind of angry. But that's what it's an intensity. So everything I play has this emotion attached to it that becomes a feeling that is translated into music. Air and music. Every exercise is developing a tool to create music. If you think of these exercises as that exact thing, you will have a greater chance at playing better music and having much greater endurance. I hope all this helps. Till next time, take it easy, kids.